Welcome to the Leadership Development Armory Lesson 7. Today we'll be hearing from Jim Sparks, our Territorial Director of Youth Ministry, who'll be sharing some no-budget program ideas. Please be mindful that because this was recorded on Zoom, the quality of the audio and visuals isn't great, but the quality of the content is exceptional. We hope that this lesson is of value to your ministry. Please enjoy.
So today we're very excited to hear from our guest, who is Jim Sparks. Jim has been in the youth ministry game for more than 20 years. He got his start working at camp and teaching Sunday school at the age of 16. Working at camp really helped carve out a path for programming with little to no money. Jim's also worked in the youth department for many years, part as the creative education, Christian education director, and now as our territorial youth director of youth ministry. He really loves the creative aspect of youth ministry and connecting with young people through fun programming. And I've heard that you should ask some of the kids who used to be in his program about his short hikes or games with pantyhose. So we're really excited to hear some of his no budget program ideas. But first, let's begin with prayer. So Tice, do you want to open us up?
Yes. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to sharpen our skills and get new ideas of how to be an effective witness to the youth that we come into contact with. We pray that you open our minds and open our hearts for what you have for us today. In your name we pray, amen.
So with that, we'll hand it off to Jim.
All right, so let's talk about no budget ideas. There is a lot of different ways you can do it. Here's the nice part is what we have right now is resources that any one of us here, and you might be watching this later on, could see and get resources online for free. There's tons of free resources. There's no shortage of curriculum online. There's no shortage of program ideas, game ideas. There's no shortage of any of that stuff online. It's a huge factor that wasn't available when I was younger doing this. In fact, we have books. Some of the books I still have here because they mean a lot to me, and some of the programs that came out of that, which were super fun. So I'm not going to get too much into that, more of like how to come up with new ideas that are little to no budget, ideally no budget, and then work our way around kind of the programming aspect of it. But first, even though you might not have a budget or very little budget, the most important thing with any program is that it's got to be quality, high quality, as much quality as you can make it, and don't get caught that quality means expensive stuff, fancy doodle lights or anything like that. Quality means intentional programming in which that you are connecting with your people. You've done your market research. Your people know your people, you know your people, and they know you, and you're meeting their needs. That's when quality programming comes in. The other stuff is kind of add-ons that are fun, and sometimes they're expensive, sometimes they're not. It just depends on how you work your resources altogether. But so first, quality. Second, it has to be programming for them. And a lot of programmers tend to program for what you think you like or what you think they might like, and that is a mistake to do that. So you want to know what they like, and there's really only one way to do that, and that's by asking them. And it's a simple solution that we often forget, don't think about, because we might study youth culture, study a bunch of things, or we ourselves feel like we're still young. We don't know anything. As youth workers, we're not cool, and we're there to chaperone and be that part in their lives mostly. So ask them what they like, ask them what they don't like, get feedback from them, involve them in the decision-making process. This is a part that's often missed in youth ministry is we forget to include them on the decision-making process. And when you include them, your quality actually might not be as good. Maybe it's not as polished or anything like that, but when it's done by them, then the quality is actually high because they're excited about it, because they're actively engaged and involved in that. So when you get to that moment of engagement, that's when quality starts to come in. The first thing that I always do, like when I have an idea, a program, or a space that I need to work in, is the first thing that we need to do is take an inventory of what we have. What do we have? What is it that is available to us? And go find things. Now, if you're at a camp, which most of the people on right now are DYSs, if you're at a camp, go into your closets at camp that haven't been gone into in many, many years, and go looking in there. You will find stuff that will blow you away, be like, whoa, why aren't we using this? An example is when I was working at camp a long time ago, we found a closet behind a laundry room that I didn't know existed, and went inside, and there was a bunch of cutouts that someone had made with a face circle cutouts. I was like, dude, we should be using these right and left. And so we didn't know we had those. We were able to put those in the program real quick. Kids loved them. If it was now, they would put it on the gram, but back they used Polaroids. So that's how old I am. But take an inventory of what you have. If you're at your core, go through all of your closets at the core. First of all, you should be cleaning those closets. But second, you might already have a lot of the stuff that you need for a particular evening. A few years ago, for our department here, went to a core, and we helped clean out the youth ministry closet that hadn't been cleaned out in a really long time. And we thought it would be like a couple-hour job. It was like an all-day job. But the stuff that we were pulling out was amazing. I was like, someone bought this at some point, and they might have used it once. And now we're able, I was like, well, we could do this. We could do a competition night. We could do capture the flag using these type of things. There's so many things that we could use that were already there. So what you'd want to do is take an inventory of what is available to you and around you. And so a lot of that starts by cleaning. And that's a very unusual tip for me to give, because cleaning is not overly fun for me, although I've kind of grown to like it. But so you want to do an inventory internally. To add to that inventory, I'm going to share a screen. This is something that you could do at the core. This idea was shared with me. Let's see, here we go. This idea was shared with me a long time ago. I just made up a small one, but creating an ask sheet, if you will, for the core, for people at the core. Something simple that you can put in the program, asking for congregation members to invest in your program. And this is where a lot of resources could come your way that you weren't maybe anticipating. And so I just put in some ones. This is just a sample one. I could share a link of this so that it gets it started, but this is really, really basic. I just put this together for this. So you could ask for people to help financially. You could ask people for prayer, to invest in prayer in your young people. And this is a way to get people who don't like to do youth ministry, which I understand, I get it, but to be involved in youth ministry, because I might not want to hang out with you guys, but I certainly want to pray for you because I care about those souls, because my ministry might be young adult ministry. But you could ask for all kinds of stuff. If there's specific things, like you do youth group on Thursday nights, put in the program, say, we're looking for people to buy pizza on Thursday nights, and because we can't afford it, and put it in. This is, for a lot of people, a great opportunity to invest in young people without, again, having to get overly involved, and say, yeah, I could easily buy you guys pizza. That's an easy ask for me to do. Calling parents is one that you might get seniors at the core being like, I'm happy to call parents to remind them that camp signups are coming up, or youth retreat signups are coming up, or to get in the permission slips. I'd be happy to do that. And so that way takes it off your plate. But you could go through that list, and there's some that are actively involved, and there's some that are, passively involved, like organized birthday and graduation cards. That's something that I'm terrible at. So I would be asking for someone, and those birthday people, those card people that are like religious about it, they're going to get involved, and they'll make sure that those kids getting those cards and you're extending your reach with your young people. And I always want to highlight the other category, because this is where my friend gave me this idea. Is he did this at his place, and someone in their congregation wrote that they have a boat with jet skis, and they would love to teach the kid wakeboarding. And he had a larger youth group, so that would be a trick. But he said that is available if you could find an opportunity to do that. And so my friend thought through this, because it's really hard. They had a lot of people in their youth group, and how can they utilize this, because this is the first time that this person has ever offered any sort of support to the youth ministry program. And so what he did is they were going to do a service project, and they were going to paint the fence at the property there, just paint the fence as a service. And so he said, we're going to paint the fence. And so knowing that a fraction of the kids would actually sign up for painting the fence. So those kids that showed up, they'd signed up. And so he knew who signed up. He contacted their family and said, this is what we're actually going to do when they get there. We're going to go take them wakeboarding. And they don't know that. Keep that a secret from them. Got all the permissions. They showed up, and they're like, all right, look, we're going to change plans. We're going to go wakeboarding. And so they went. There was a small group of kids that got to go and go on this guy's boat, learn how to wakeboard, and do all that kind of fun stuff with jet skiing and that. And kids had a blast. And you can imagine on Sunday when they got to youth group, they were telling everyone, we didn't actually paint the fence. We got to do this. Super fun. And so then they said, all right, next month, we're going to paint the fence. And so then they had a ton of kids sign up to paint the fence, and they painted the fence real quick. So they all thought they were going on a boat. They showed up in board shorts, but they painted the fence. But what was cool to me about the story is not just the bait and switch, because that's kind of funny, but is the idea that just putting an other there, and this person was like, I want to be able to give this and have that opportunity. So you want to take internal inventory of your congregation, of what they're willing to participate in, even if it's just saying hi to them, or being much more involved, like teaching Sunday school and that kind of stuff. I think a lot of times we miss out on opportunities because we're not asking, and I'm certainly guilty of that. So the next idea is to the next section that I want to talk about is ideas, and gathering ideas and trying to figure out what to do. And so the first thing I always say is explore your surroundings, and take a look at your property. If you do a lot of your youth work on your property, figure out different ways to use your property. If I'm walking on, like, even at my core, I'm always trying to figure out a different way. Can we do something differently with this property? If I'm at a camp, then most certainly I'm like, how can I do this? Or is it possible to even try this? I think a lot of times we get locked into doing something in the same room over and over and over again, and you kind of limit your opportunities to do that. Like one time, as part of one part of one event, we hid it was like 8,000 Hot Wheels in our fellowship hall. That you would normally, not fellowship, in the chapel, which you would not normally do kind of fun games in the chapel, at least at ours, because we have a fellowship hall. And but we hid 8,000. It was the same Hot Wheel, by the way. And they had to find just 5 Hot Wheels that were marked. And that took over an hour, and it was a lot of fun. And they had a blast. But it was a different way of looking at it. And what was fun is I left a couple Hot Wheels up on these bricks that only the youth knew about. So on Sunday morning, they could point to that and laugh and have that inside joke with each other and say, hey, remember that was super fun. Those eventually got taken away, and we never got talked to, so that was successful. Know what's available in your area. There's a lot of things that are available in your community that could be free. It could be museum day in your local city that offers free days of museum. That's an easy trip to take your kids to learn some culture, maybe specifically about your city, or maybe about the state that you're in, or the the historical culture of your surroundings. And so look for those. And sorry, looking at my notes here. One idea that I heard many years ago, I always thought was cool, is figure out ways to do mission trips in your own city. You know, a lot of kids have grown up in their city and don't know their city. Or for our case down here in Southern California, there are kids that live 5 miles from the ocean who have never been to the ocean. They just have never been to the ocean. And we might take it for granted because we go, but take a look at opportunities to get your kids involved in their local community and do mission trip like activities. So that could be taking them to the ocean, or it could be taking them to the mountain, and just hanging out and talking with people, and maybe even finding an open promenade to do their own little open air service. Oftentimes that's free, and it gives them a cultural experience. I love watching people experience snow for the first time, and you'd be surprised at how many people have not experienced snow. If you have mountains in your local area, go to the mountains and go and have fun in the snow. In a lot of cases, it's not that far away. It's like a 30-minute drive to an hour drive, and you could go build a snowman and have a neat experience. Part of that is new cultural experience, a new experience altogether, and you get that van ride. That's where you get a lot of conversations going. Turn the radio off and enjoy the van ride and have some fun questions to do. But there's also weird things that if you do some exploring in your local areas, one example is they're doing commissioning down by Knott's Berry Farm. And so I knew that we were going to go to Knott's Berry Farm for Service Corps, take all these kids, all the youth to Service Corps. But I didn't want them just to go to Knott's Berry Farm. So I called up Knott's Berry Farm and I said, do you guys have a way for me to get in to mark some surroundings? I was going to create a scavenger hunt in Knott's Berry Farm for free for a certain amount of time. And like, yeah, it's called a shopping pass. You get 1 hour for free in Knott's Berry Farm. And I was like, really? You get 1 hour free? And they're like, yes. So you check in, and if you check out after an hour, then you have to pay the price. So I went in by myself and I marked a whole scavenger hunt for Service Corps to do. That was free. That could be something kind of fun to do just on your own with a youth group. You're going by like, all right, guys, this is our mission. I like to make everything a mission because it makes it a little more exciting. We've got 45 minutes, and maybe you have someone in there that they got to find in 45 minutes and run around the park, and then they got to leave. So just kind of fun adventures that you could do like that are in smaller increments, and take a look. But look for mission trip opportunities in their own city, and because it is surprising how few people get away from their own surroundings. Ask what they want to do. Ask what they want to experience. Ask what is the thing that you really would like to do, or what is something that you heard maybe at youth retreat that another Corps was doing that you thought was awesome. What do you guys want to do? And get their ideas, put them up on a board so they stare at those ideas. Then you're targeting those ideas straight for them. But a lot of times you get to involve them in the process. And again, we want to keep them involved. That makes everything better when they're involved. And a lot of times they're going to come up with crazier ideas than what you might be capable of. The next way to get ideas, and this is the way that I advocate as much as possible, is steal ideas. The Salvation Army, this is a gift that's been given to the Salvation Army, is stealing ideas specifically. And but I would say to not claim them as your own. Posting them on Facebook and claiming as like you created it kind of stinks. But ask around. My best ideas have not been original. They've been from 70 to 80-year-old people in my congregation that I asked what was their favorite youth group activity they ever did growing up. And sometimes it was off color nowadays. Sometimes it was a little crazy. But you modernize those old ideas. And there's been so many times where we've been complimented on an idea that was done when their grandparents were in youth group. So steal ideas, and that's kind of stealing, but it's asking what did they did and what did they do, and how do we modernize that? And because it's hard to come up with original ideas. When you do take an idea from someone else, you have to tailor it to your group. You can't just be lazy and try to cookie cutter. It's not going to work. Minute to Win It is a great example of all that stuff. When Minute to Win It was popular, everyone was doing Minute to Win It games, and it was, first of all, it was all the same games, so that was kind of boring, and they got used to doing them all over again. And minute to win a games, you can't win anyway, so that's real fun for youth group. You're sitting there the whole evening not winning anything. It may not have worked with your group, and so you want to make sure that you're getting ideas that are going to work with your group. So look, hunt, and make idea and find those ideas, and then make them your own. And then gather. Make a folder online, and I'm going to go through kind of the practical steps and practical ideas soon. Is make a folder of things that you find online, and just start building that database. And what I like to do is create menus for things. When I'm teaching program planning, I'm all about menus, so that you could pick and choose and just put things in, and that will work with your audience. And but gather your ideas, and you have to work on your ideas. No budget means lots of prep. Doesn't mean no budget, no prep. It means a lot of prep. And when someone says simple, by the way, that also means a lot of work. Let's keep things simple. There's two schools of thought of let's keep things simple. One is let's be lazy and do the least amount of work possible to try to get some sort of gain, or keep things simple, which appears simple, which is actually very complex and very thoughtful and intentional. That's where we want to be. We want to be thoughtful and intentional and not miss an opportunity. It surprises me sometimes when I see, even at youth retreats or our own programming, some of these ideas that are shared or that are done that have just not been thought through, or lose. It's more of like a checkbox. Oh yeah, we just did this and it would be fun. Or we did it for a picture for the gram, so it makes us look good, or some sort of video that will make us laugh for a second. But there's no intentionality in it. There's nothing behind it to support the message that you're delivering. So gather that kind of stuff, and then go through a kind of a farming method. I'm going to share a little bit how I do that kind of stuff. And let me get to the share screen and then find that site. Where's my site? Well, that's weird. It's not showing up on my well, that's weird. Oh, Google Chrome. That's why I went to Zoom. Lame. Sorry about that. I had it set up earlier. So in here, like you could see, I have tons of bookmarks. These bookmarks are full, absolutely full. And I use these to farm all my ideas. These are all just ideas and stuff. So I put together quickly what I would do for free 90 free type things. And it doesn't take much searching for you to find anything, but these are some of the things that I found pretty quick that are could be easy, quick ideas, very practical ideas for you to do. First is, if you're in California, and this probably is the case for other ones, if you go to you could get free California state park passes for your kids. The kids just need to go to their library, their public library, and they could check out a free pass. So if you have a state park that's nearby, or state beach, or anything like that, you could take all the kids to the library. They could check out a free pass, and you guys could go to the state park for free. All that, a lot of public funded stuff, you could get these type of things for free. And they're fun adventures for kids. There's hiking, there's sometimes aquariums, there's all kinds of things you can do at state parks. And so that's an idea. Kind of in the similar vein, there's free entrance days to national parks. If you buy a national park, if you're in Central California and you're only like an hour away from Yosemite or Sequoia or anything like those, These are free days. You just look it up. They have actual days that are free. And in most cases, a lot of fourth graders are free. And so fourth graders get to go to national parks for free. So understand that and maybe plan an event around one of these days. So you could go to that. But I don't just put events or anything like that. I also put resources that I could go back to. So here's 100 essential free resources for graphic designers that I found on a thread that I do. I will bookmark that. I can't possibly go through all of this, but I know that it's there. And so if I need free stock images, I go and check out some of these opportunities. And then and I keep going back. Like this one I've gone back to several times for free resources. But in there it shows you Canva, shows you Vimeo, shows you all kinds of things that you could use for free. So a lot of times you're sitting there like, well, I don't have the resources, I don't have that kind of stuff. You literally could just search free resources, free graphic resources, and this stuff's going to pop up. I would bookmark it. Normally I bookmark it in these other ones, but for this class, I'm keeping them in this. And there's a ton of free resources through youth ministry. This is a popular one, Youth Ministry 360. So if you're looking for a specific thing, all this stuff is free that you could download. So you have Easter lessons, 6-week studies, and you have a lot of free stuff for the Orange curriculum that you could jump in there. We always look for other places for curriculum when we have it inside. These are popular on mom blogs. 100 free things to do and like in your city with kids. This is one that in Los Angeles, as I was going through, I was like, hey, that'd be kind of fun to do with my own personal kids as I was going through. And so go through those. And when I see something like Griffith Observatory, then I'm like, oh, okay. So, okay, if I'm in Los Angeles area, that's free. That would be really fun to take the kids up to Griffith Observatory, because you could go, they have like a science portion of it, and you could actually go on a little hike. But then what you could pair with that is you could pair with several troops emblems that go along with that. And you could do a troop emblem with your youth group right there. You have curriculum that works with it, that has been vetted by the Army. You could do that type of stuff. That's where my brain starts working. I see an opportunity. Now, how do I start pairing some of this stuff together? There's a bunch of opportunities for online games that you could find. My internet's slow right now. Grow is a good site where you could just pull through, and they've got them all categories. You could even do socially distanced games for your introverts and your people who like to keep their hands sanitized. Let's see what else I've. And a lot of your areas, the metros, like in Los Angeles area, I'm only saying that because I know this county, but look up in your own, they all have free metro passes. Students could all get free metro passes. And so you could do fun things. We did an amazing race at my corps, only using the metro because I don't trust people driving. And every kid had to ride the metro with a group. It was a wild adventure. Carmen went on it with us. And it was an all-day adventure where they rode the rails literally the entire day and had to do adventures all around Los Angeles. What was cool about it is they got to experience a bunch of different cultures of Los Angeles, and but also have fun in this game. That's free. All that stuff is free. You could go and do all that for free. You can go and find those metro passes. There's free resources for youth leaders. This particular site, churchleaders.com, gives you a wide range of things. You could do your own youth budgets, sermons, all that kind of good stuff. Anything that you could look up. That this isn't rocket science, obviously. This was an interesting blog that I found about reinventing your youth room for $0 a budget. If you don't have a youth room that feels like it's a youth room, you should find a way to make a youth room for your youth room. When I did Sunday school, when I first started doing Sunday school when I was 16, we were in the kitchen at Tustin Ranch Corps. Inside the actual kitchen was my Sunday school class. And then we got moved to the linen closet. for a little while, and then we got moved to the dock, the loading dock. That was kind of cool. And then eventually into like a cubicle area. But then they eventually got a youth room, and the youth room is really cool. But this is you could look this up, and shows you how to spend $0 on reinventing your youth room, which I thought was kind of fun. One of the biggest resources you could find is the Buy Nothing project. If you're not doing Buy Nothing or part of Buy Nothing, you're missing out. Buy Nothing is just kind of a community of people that give and give or trade. Mostly it's just giveaway and receiving free goods from your community. You can find it on Facebook. I'll pull up the one that I'm a part of, and to kind of show you. And this is in my neighborhood, and people give away baby formula. If you want baby formula, great. You could get a microwave for your youth room. Look at that. You could get this couch. Look, they're giving away this giant couch, and that looks pretty good, actually. Oh, dog friendly house. I'm out. But you could get this for your youth room for free. All you do is you jump in, say, hey, I'm interested in getting this for free. Hopefully they pick your name, and then you go and pick it up for free. You could be incredibly resourceful on your local Buy Nothings, and who knows what you get. Sometimes I'm getting a little nervous scrolling because sometimes people put some bizarre things on here. Not crazy, not sanitary. I'm not sure I want some used facial brush, but all kinds of opportunities in there. There is an opportunity for you to ask too. And so if there's something specific that you're needing for some sort of game or for your youth room or for your core, you could always ask in these things. You'd be surprised at what people will give away. It could be a lawnmower. I've seen pretty expensive things go through on this, depending on the ask. So if you're not part of your local Buy Nothing, be part of your local Buy Nothing. And then this is the last idea that I thought was cool that I found on this Catholic website is to, and I've seen this before, is posting a wish list of what you'd like for your youth ministry. So maybe things didn't show back up in your inventory from your core or a lot of things. But sometimes people get attached to certain things that are listed out. And so they see something like, oh, well, that's an easy get. I could get saint statues, any and all sizes. I could find saint statues for you. And because it's something specific. And for certain personalities, once they see a list written out of what you're looking for, that might be easier for them to just go ahead and say, hey, I'll be able to get that for you. And people like to give tangibly. And so if you give a list and maybe put that in the program of upcoming needs for your youth group or for your camp or anything like that, then you'd be surprised in what people would be able to share. I remember at camp, one core was reaching out to a whole new group of kids, and none of them had sleeping bags. And so they put an ask out for sleeping bags, for used ones for these kids. And an elderly couple at the core didn't want those kids to sleep in used sleeping bags. And so when they heard the announcement, they're like, we're just going to buy them. Just tell me how many you need. And they bought each one of those kids their own sleeping bag so they could take it home with them. And it was theirs. It wasn't something borrowed. And they arrived with their own personal things. And that was really cool. So we don't know until we ask. All right, excellent. Questions. I'm going through the comments. Send your wish list to your local Walmart. Yes, that's really cool. And I have also seen you could do an Amazon wish list too. So that makes it a little bit easier for people to just go ahead and pop on Amazon and do that right away. Yours is giving an espresso machine. That's pretty cool. I got an autograph baseball of Earl Hershiser in my Buy Nothing. I was pretty excited about that. Yeah, free junior ranger program is super cool. Jillian pointing out in the chat on that. My kids have done it. It's really neat and it's really interactive, but you as adults, you guys get to be involved in that part of the program super cool program that they have. And yeah, you don't have to be in the park, right? Yeah, I think that's correct, Jillian is pointing out. But so I want to hear from you guys, because free ideas come best from other people as well. And so I want you to think of your best free idea that you've done in your local youth group. Or it can. I'll share one just to kind of get it started. We did a lockout. I don't like lock-ins I think lock-ins are the devil, to be honest. I don't like being up that late, but we did a lockout and arranged, I didn't do this, but one of our youth leaders arranged with our social services to have a couple people that are unhoused, that get services provided by the Corps, to come and teach the kids about what it's like to be unhoused. And so the youth group all got together and we met in the room, and these people shared what it's like to be homeless. They shared their testimony as well. And it was crazy. It was really cool. I really, really enjoyed it. And then we have an ARC that's nearby, and ARC collected a bunch of cardboard and stuff for the kids, and the kids built their own house outside of the Corps in the parking lot, out in the open. And we camped out in the night, learning from some of the things that our guest speakers shared. And it was quite an experiential experience. Didn't cost us anything. And we actually had 4 parents that don't normally get involved with the youth group get involved because they were part of law enforcement. So they were there for security, because we had kids sleeping out in the parking lot in boxes. But they kind of got to have a different experience. And a lot of those kids think back, and the level of empathy that they gained out of that experience for those that are having difficulty with housing was quite significant. And that really didn't cost us much at all that evening. It cost us an evening of snacks, and that was about it. But share some of your ideas.
I can jump in. I mean, I haven't done too much in youth groups before, but I think that it's always really fun to find different ways that you can pair education with, like, especially some of those outings. So even just creating something like a prayer walk guide, or some kind of like scavenger hunt or photo scavenger hunt, like, especially if you base things in competitions, I feel like people get really into it. And so if you're able to kind of provide a guide, especially for something like going to a national park or going to a museum, to kind of add an extra layer of interaction, I think is really helpful.
I think it gets fun to try to figure that out. As a programmer, it's like, how do we pair all this stuff together? Someone else?
When I was a youth director at the Pomona Corps, we were very limited on taking kids anywhere for field trips and stuff, on top of spending money. So one week when I had to try to fill for activities, I did like international travel. So I set up the gym kind of like an airplane, and then we made these fake passports out of construction paper. And then each day was some kind of theme activity. So I remember, okay, I don't know how ethical this is, but I stole a lot of chopsticks from the Chinese restaurant next to the Corps. I don't know say if I stole, but I did grab a big pile. And then one day, so one day, I'm sure maybe if I have asked, maybe they would have said yes. I don't know. But I took the chopsticks from the restaurant, and we learned a little bit about using chopsticks, and I don't know, I think had M&Ms or whatever snack I had available to try to grab. And then one time we traveled to Mexico, and one of the moms taught us to dance. But it was cool because I just set up the gym using like cardboard boxes as much as I could, like it was a plane. And then one of the kids helped with security, kind of reenacting like we were traveling and what that looked like. But I was able to do like a whole week's theme without going anywhere and just using supplies around the Corps.
Yeah, that's cool. Our young people love exploring other cultures, and that's a perfect match with our congregations often, is that there are so many cultures, and everyone loves to share their culture too. And so opportunities for cultural fairs, or opportunities for kids to learn other cultures, is something that we should really be active in trying to get going. My corps does a progressive dinner during Christmas time. So the kids will go to different houses to eat different parts of the meal, I guess, 5-course meal or something like that. And but one thing they ask is what are your Christmas traditions, right? And so the kids get to learn different people in the congregation's Christmas traditions, and a lot of it is cultural. And so they get to learn that. And what I love about that is a lot of times those houses are not people that are usually involved in youth group. They're people that are willing to let a youth group come in for about 30-40 minutes into their house, because it's a pretty quick stop. But it makes a social capital connection with those people. And so they got to see the inside of your house. They got to see kind of how you live, and then got to hear you share about your own experience. And that makes easy follow-up, easy social capital for connecting with kids after that. Life-size board game. Yeah, that's cool. I saw a Monopoly one that a camp did. No, or Chutes and Ladders. I think it was Chutes and Ladders. Yeah, and they used slip and slides where they were pulling them by the ankles, because you can't actually vertically work that out. But that's cool. Anybody else have an idea they'd like to share?
There's something that I am actually going to try pretty soon with the youth at my corps, where I was trying to think of a game, and I was trying to think of something fun. And I'm really big into storytelling, and I love doing storytelling activities where I can get the youth to participate and add to the story and change the story and do different things. But I was trying to think, like, how can I make it like actually engaging, or how can I pull them in? And I found a really cool idea online of doing basically Jenga, but like storytelling. So the idea is, like, you have the Jenga tower already set up, and anytime someone wants to add to the story, but something gets risky, you make them pull a tile from Jenga and like stack it on top, right? You're just playing Jenga as you're telling the story. But the idea is that, like, the more intense the story gets, or the more risks that that come with the story, the more that the tower is likely to fall. And if it falls, the story like completely changes. Like everything falls apart, or like the characters in the story get shipwrecked, or whatever it might be. But it's essentially just like doing round robin storytelling while also playing Jenga. But it's sort of combining those two ideas so that it like adds more, like takes it to the next level without really adding to the cost or anything like that.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I was thinking that could be an interesting object lesson too. You could do a lot of stuff with that by choices that you're making and how that affects other things when you make a certain choice. It's interesting.
So I noticed most people on here are DYSs. But I definitely, after youth councils or DYR, when I was a youth director, would try to steal their props from their stage if they weren't going to use it. Or like if I went to a workshop and they had like, it was a craft workshop, I'd be like, hey, can I have your leftovers? And so I would like continue some of the activities from youth councils by taking material that was already bought by the youth department.
Yeah, that's smart. Emmanuel did that to us when he was DYS. He was the first one to ask, hey, what are you guys doing with that? Sometimes he didn't ask.
When it's free, it's good. One of the things we did one time was doing a scavenger hunt, but you would have the leaders be the drivers with 2 or 3 vans, and they would do challenges across town. But it also had rules like you could get, if you got a ticket or something like that, then the whole team's disqualified. So people try to be cautious. It was kind of fun because the teams are, checking off the list, go and take a picture of this sign over here, or go do video yourself singing a song in front of Walmart. So just made the challenges different and making to where everybody in the group can participate at their level. So that was a lot of fun. And then one time we did a race. This was young adults, but we did kind of a amazing race across Portland, which was a lot of fun. It was using the public transportation system. You couldn't use the vehicles and stuff. That was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, and I think an easy kind of free thing that we have and maybe not utilized enough is there's a lot of Salvation Armies nearby, whether it be an ARC, a thrift store, or other cores that are nearby, that you could turn those type of things into gatherings. And you could do you could work with the core officer or youth leader at the other place and say, hey, why don't you guys come over to us for one Saturday, and we'll go over to you the next month Saturday and do something kind of fun. And they get to see different Salvation Army experiences, might see their friends from camp as an opportunity. And then the other thing is most camps are going to let you come out for free just to hang out at a camp, especially if you're bringing your own food. But I loved going to camp when camp was not in session growing up. I just thought it was the coolest thing, because you get your own experience, and you guys get to kind of do what you love, particularly if there's no one there. Usually there is someone there, but you get to go and explore maybe the surroundings of camp that you didn't know existed, and do different things that might go beyond the normal boundaries of camp. Maybe it's getting out to the wilderness camp, going out there. You've always seen it, but you've never been able to go out there. So take your people out to camp. Yeah, Jillian took her troops to camp for the swimming emblem. Perfect. And it's super fun to be out there, and it's just weird. Particularly, I remember when, as a kid, going out there when there wasn't anyone out there, I was like, "Oh, this is really weird." Like, camp felt big, it felt really large, and there was a sense of freedom there. I really enjoyed. So take advantage of that, but also we could try to organize like an overnight mission trip to another corps and another division that you're friends with, and say, "Hey, let's go and check it out." And it's always interesting. There's a population of people, one, that like to go see other Salvation Army buildings. I didn't adopt that personality, but I love to see how other people live and how they do life in other parts. And so take advantage of that. Is there another idea that someone would like to share?
I think something that people forget is to check social media. So and it's weird. So you brought up the thrift stores, and I immediately thought of there's a new thing where you go and you pick out an outfit for somebody else from the thrift store, and then they have to wear it, and you give each other outfits. And most of the time they're really silly, but there's a lot of stuff that are date ideas that really could be great for kids to use as well. That I found out a couple months ago that there's a helium balloon in Irvine, and that's free, and you just have to go and sign up. And it's it was a date idea, but I was I'll take my friends to go, and we had a blast. And so I think keeping up with social media and saving those ideas when you see them to reference, so that when it is what's around here, what's something fun that I can do, you can go back to that saved page and be oh, okay, here's some ideas that social media has, because really some of them are just so creative.
Yep, that's awesome. Any other ideas? Be resourceful. Go ahead.
I was going to add, when you were saying about using spaces that maybe the youth are familiar with, but sort of using them in a new way or an unexpected way. I'm thinking of going down, if you're going to do something at night where it's darker, maybe there's a hallway, PTM safe, but finding a way to use a hallway and just have it be a dark hallway, and that's hey, you're going to walk down this hallway, and you're going to do it one at a time, I'll go first. This person's going to wait with everyone, behind. But, go in one at a time. And it'll like be freaky and spooky, and the kids might get a kick out of that, or it might absolutely terrify them. If it's like the office space, or just like maybe it's something they're familiar with, but like at a different time, or a different time of day or a different setting, might cause the space to feel different. However, whatever it is or whatever it looks like, and then maybe the person at the end can sort of like talk about fear and use that as a jumping point for when you feel alone, or when the world around you looks different. Again, it's just sort of like looking at things in a new way, or even adjusting things so that they feel different than the same old, even if it's just the same space that the kids are familiar with.
That's really good. You're kind of triggering a little bit of trauma for me. When I was in youth group at Santa Ana Corps, there's an attic that's upstairs, and it's huge. It's a huge storage attic, but you have to go up these really dark stairs, and it was all dark, and it was at night, and they're like, oh, we got to go up into the attic, and it was kind of like the storehouse of storage, and it had these old giant props and stuff. I don't know, I'm sure it still has the same stuff in it. We got in there, and a bunch of youth leaders scared us, and that was the whole design. And it was a different era then. It was extremely frightening for me, and there was probably 30 stairs to get to it. I don't remember touching any of them on the way home, but yeah, it was fun. So I like it. All right, well, thank you. That's all I have for now. As always, if you're looking to bounce ideas or looking for resources, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I like sharing those type of things with you. And that's all I got, Summer.
Okay, well, thank you, Jim, for all that you had to share, and just really some good foundations for coming up with some no budget program ideas. So thank you so much for that. Next week, we are going to be hearing from Jackie Rail on partnering with parents. She's our Orange representative, so she's going to have a lot of great stuff to share there. So that'll be in 2 weeks. Once again, if you have not signed up for to get notifications, just let me know. And we're really just excited to be able to meet together again. We'll send out all of the resources that Jim mentioned in next week, along with an infographic that kind of breaks down some of those reminders that he has. So thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Wishing you all the best. Bye.
All right.